G'day guys, and welcome to another Blender Buzz tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use Boolean modifiers in Blender to very quickly cut shapes out of objects. For example, here is one I quickly did, and then a circular one here, and then this one here is actually a union where I made this thing part of the cube mesh. And I'm going to be showing you how to do that very quickly. This is pretty much a crash course into using Boolean modifiers in Blender for beginners and people who don't really understand how it works. And after the end of this video, you should have a good understanding of how to use Booleans in Blender. So I hope you guys like this video, and let's get started. I have 3 cubes here, and I'm just going to do 3 different examples. I got a cylinder here that I just quickly set up. I have a cube, and I have a triangle, and I just stretched them out so they're longer than the cubes if you view them from the top. Okay, and I want to show you real quick. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our middle cube first, and all we simply have to do is go to our modifiers panel, and we have to go add modifier, and what we're going to use is the Boolean modifier. Cool. Now we need to tell this cube what object it has to use to make an incision within itself. So I'm going to select the cylinder here. I'm going to press G, Z just to bring it down roughly to the middle of the cube. And we're now going to tell this cube, if we click on that again, we're going to tell the modifier what object to use. So we're going to go to Object, we're going to hit this little eyedropper, and we're going to select our cylinder here. And you're going to see it wraps around the cylinder, but don't worry about that. So instead of under operation it being intersect, we're going to make this difference. And if I were to grab this cylinder now and go M and just move it to the second layer, voila, we now have a hole inside of our cube. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if we should go into edit mode, you're going to notice it's gone because it's only a modifier, just like subdivision or mirror. It's not actually mesh data at the moment, it's just a modifier. So what you can do is, if you want that to be permanent, you can go and apply it. Now, there are some drawbacks with a modifier like this. For example, it's not very animation friendly. It creates very unclean topology. So I wouldn't recommend you use this on organic characters or something you plan to be doing animation with. Unless it's a hard surface model that's not going to be doing any sort of organic deformation, and you're just going to be dealing with moving parts, it'll be fine. So if I'm going to just go ahead here and apply it, and I go into edit mode, you can see here this is what we have topology wise. Now obviously this is a face with 21 sides, you know, whereas this is a face with 4 sides, whereas in an ideal situation we want everything to be 4-sided quads. But in this case, you know, I could still use this in a scene. It just wouldn't subdivide very well as well. That's another thing to keep in mind. So if I were to add a subdivision surface to this, you can see it's really messy. Now you could come in here and draw some more lines and make everything square topology, make it something you could subdivide, but that's a video for another time. So I'm just going to move on to our next shape and do the exact same thing. So I'm going to grab this here. I'm going to add a Boolean modifier. I'm going to hit the little eyedropper here. I'm going to select my cube. And once again, I'm just going to make it different. Grab my cube, and I'm just going to drag it down. And this time I'm going to drag it here to the corner here. And I'm also going to go move and move it to here. And there we can see is our cutout. And the same thing here. Go Boolean. Select this guy here. Make it different. And just bring it down. See that? That is working really well. Now, instead of moving this one to the next layer, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to show you something else a modifier can also do. It can also make a union between objects. So I'm going to bring this thing up like this, grab this cube here, and I'm just going to make this union. So if I go apply and I go to mirror mode, voila, we now have one object here. It's combined it. So that's something very easy to do. And what we can also do is, while we're in, if I just enable my second layer as well, holding in shift, we can also take the object that it is using to cut itself out with. We can go into edit mode on that object, and we can even come in here and extrude and add some details here. So I just did this. If I just go on this layer again, we can see that imprint is now on the object that is getting cut as well. So this is a very powerful tool. It's very good for hard surface modeling. In fact, it's one of the best ways to add detail really quickly when you're doing hard surface modeling. And once again, like I said, it's not very friendly for clean topology, not something you're going to subdivide very easily unless you go in there and clean it up. There are other softwares like Maya and 3ds Max that have really good Boolean operations that can kind of do this stuff very cleanly, and like Modo, for example, as well, and Nuke. But unfortunately, Blender at the moment isn't really good with Booleans, but hopefully that's something we will see improve in the future. So I hope you guys liked this tutorial. This has kind of been like a crash course into Boolean modifiers, what you could use them for, and just showing you how effective they are, how quick it is to set up. If you like this video, hit like below, subscribe, and I will see you guys on another video. Thanks for watching.